My name is Takeyah Young from CoreConnectionLifestyle.com, and I am an engineer by training, an educator in practice, and an entrepreneur at heart. And people often ask me, how did I get to this place? Well, essentially, I'm a systems-oriented person. So whatever I do, whether it's systems around lifestyle, systems around business, I basically help people figure out when something is just not right. So while it's not always the greatest in personal relationships, definitely in my business relationships, it's great because I can always find a solution. I'm information and resource oriented, so I can always help figure out a solution or help people take the next steps. And that's where my coaching comes in. So that's the work that I do. And I really, really enjoy servicing my clients and working directly with women to help them move forward in the things that they desire in their lives. So let's move forward. So what even got me to creating this guide is that a few years ago, I was talking to someone about New Year's resolutions, and I used to do vision board workshops, and I still do them. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if I'm going to do one for this year or not. I haven't quite decided. I may put some feelers out, but hey, if you're interested in a vision board workshop, let me know, whether in person or virtually. But I'll just say that some years ago, I started conducting vision board workshops, and then I also um, would talk to people about resolutions, and I shared that I really wasn't into resolutions that much, and what came up was why. And so I started sharing that one of the reasons why I didn't necessarily think about resolutions as much is because I felt like it was a lot more around mindset as well as action or behavior, and that's really the thing that made a difference between the intentions that you set and actually what you accomplish. So what I thought would be great is that to actually take some time to celebrate the things that happened from the previous year, to acknowledge the lessons, to figure out what went well, what didn't go so well, and what our role was in that, and not as a way to blame or judge ourselves, but as a way to give us an opportunity to just reflect and take some time to understand what has happened in the past and how we can really move forward. So that's one of the things that came about. And then the idea of cultivating the following year, that's where the piece that I guess for some people would replace or supplement resolutions is that element where you cultivate your intentions for the following year. Because even if I do set goals or new ideas of things I want to accomplish in the following year, I honestly do not do them right away. I don't wait till the end of the year to do them. What I do is I wait to the beginning of the year, see how I feel about things, see how I go and how things go for me, and then tune into that. And then I begin to clarify and set some things. That said, as everyone knows, you can actually set goals and set themes whenever you want to. Yes, we definitely, at least in the United States, we celebrate the new year, the transition between December 31st to January 1st. But really, you could really, use this guide any time of the year. You can set a resolution any time of the year. You can set a goal at any time of the year. It doesn't require this particular moment, but this is a time when universally, I think everybody's kind of thinking about things. So that's really where this guide came from. So over the years, I've produced it, and then in more recent times, I've been having more conversations around this. And people have been asking me about vision boards and goal setting and what do I want. And I said, you know what, it would be great to have this conversation with people live. I did not plan this far in advance. So really, it's just the impromptu conversation for anybody who hops on, anyone who has questions, and I can answer them and support you, and maybe even do some live coaching for you as you move forward. So if you are on this call, definitely enter some information into the chat so I know that you're here and any particular questions that you might have. Let me just take a look at my listing here to see who I have going on. Okay, I'm going to check in with my Facebook people and see who's there as well. And my Instagram, I got people all over the place. I got Instagram people, I got Facebook people that I have to check in, and all those audiences are different. So I'm always trying to tune in and figure out who is where and what do they want and how could I help them. So what I'm going to do is open up my guide, and yeah, I'm going to open up my guide. And I would even suggest that you have your guide printed out. So I'm kind of an e-person, so I tend to have everything electronically. That's just more of how I like to do things. But I would say that if you have the opportunity to print out this guide definitely get it. And even before looking at the guide, if you don't have the guide, the place to go to get the guide is the Celebrate Cultivate guide, hashtag Celebrate Cultivate. And that's where you'll get the guide at coreconnectionlifestyle.com/celebrate cultivate. It's pretty simple. Or bit.ly/celebrate cultivate. I keep getting that. It's like a tongue twister. So that's where you can actually get the guide if you're looking for it. If you have no idea what I'm talking about the Celebrate Cultivate guide, where your we're talking about your successes from the previous year, and then lessons as well from the previous year, and then actually moving forward to work on your your intentions for the following year. So that's what we're talking about today. So the guide starts out with just an opportunity, well, a little bit about me, of course, which you can read about later, and it shares some of my programs and projects. But when you jump to page 4 of the guide, it talks about jumping right in. And jumping right in, we're talking about celebrating what's going on in your life. So I don't know about you, but this year has been a wild year for me personally. It's been a wild year for me professionally. A lot of changes and a lot of things have gone on this year. Some things expected, some things not expected. So when we talk about celebrating, I'm talking about acknowledging all the stuff that came up this year over the past year, the things that went really, really great, and the things that didn't go as great. Oftentimes, even for me, I share most of the gems of what's going on in my world. And so this is not to say that my world is perfect, because it is very, very far from it. This is not to say that things don't go wrong, because that's very, very far from the truth. However, I often highlight the gems of what has transpired in my world. And the reason why I do that is because the gems typically come from processing. They come from reflection. And so by celebrating the gems, I'm able to then take the lessons that came along with it and then leave the drama behind. So the drama is kind of like the residual of what's left behind. And then what I can really pull from my experiences are the gems. So I want to give a shout out to all the misfits, the uh-ohs, the stuff that you didn't want to, acknowledge so much maybe, but also stuff you want to leave behind. And you really can leave those things behind, but take the lessons with you. As I mentioned, you have this ball of drama that might be surrounding you, or maybe not surrounding you, maybe that's too drastic, but you have this ball of drama that you might be handling, let's say. And oftentimes we're like playing with it and we're like, let's just toss that ball away. But sometimes, wait a minute, you want to hold on to that ball. Hold on to that ball, not because you're trying to house it, but you want to hold on to it and pick away the things that are necessary. And what's left is just that drama, the essence of the drama that you can throw away. But the lessons that you pulled out, that's what you want to keep for yourself. So one of the key questions that shows up at the beginning of the guide is, where were you inconsistent in your efforts and actions to get to your dreams? Because oftentimes we have these dreams that we have, these things that we aspire to do, but I'm a big believer that in order to make dreams happen, you have to have a combination of mindset, intention, and execution. Your mindset has to be set that you could actually achieve it, even if, quite frankly, your history hasn't shown you that. But I'm sure at some point you have a history of success, and you have to recognize that what you desire is divinely supposed to be for you. What you desire is divinely yours to have. And so shifting your mindset in a way, or cultivating your mindset in a way that supports that idea is very important. The next thing is your intentions. So setting your goals, right? So deciding that you want something, and then also making it very specific, of course, making measurable, all the usual things, the SMART goals, right? Measurable, specific, attainable, uh, realistic, I think, and timed, right? So people have different names for the acronyms, but making your goals SMART, making sure that they're something that you want and that you can actually achieve, and that you actually know how you're going to get there. And then there's the execution, that taking action part, right? So this question that I have around where have you been inconsistent with your efforts and your actions are really about your actions, right? What did you not quite do? What did you say you wanted to do that you didn't quite make happen? Okay. So let's say, for example, one of the things I get often for people is, oh, I want to eat healthier. Okay, great. Well, where were you consistent with that action around eating healthier? Did you actually go to the store and buy healthy food? Did you seek out support? Did you drop the ball a little bit on being consistent with that? Did you try it one time for a week and you had a little bit of trouble and you let it go? So just like being honest with yourself. Where were you inconsistent with your efforts and actions to get to your dreams? And you want to write that down. And I said that's on page 4 of the guide. The next question is, what fires did you put out? What did you focus on to avoid focusing on yourself? And I'm talking to my ladies here mostly. As you know, I work with men and women, but my main client base is women, right? Women, women, women. We all tend to put a lot of fires out, which is great. We're firefighters. We're not even trained. We're like volunteer firefighters, right? And some of us are untrained volunteer firefighters. We're just going out, putting out fires all over the world. However, oftentimes when you spend that time putting out those fires, we're often not recognizing, hey, we might be on fire, right? We might have a situation that needs some assistance. Or maybe we just need to take our energy and focus on ourselves. So the question around what fires did you put out is really like, are any of those fires that you put out related to you? Are they all related to someone else? Are they all related to someone else's energy, life, goals, and dreams? And if so, don't beat yourself up about it, but just question it and wonder, why was that? What did you focus on to avoid focusing on yourself? Okay? The next question is, how did you get in your own way around having a great life? Okay? How did you get in your own way? We're talking about self-sabotage here, right? How did you self-sabotage yourself? Because, like I mentioned, there are times when, hey, the things that we want, but we just are we're the main reason why it's not happening. It has nothing to do with anybody else. We can't blame anybody else. We're the ones we're the ones not getting up early. We're the ones not going to bed on time. We're the ones not eating. We're putting things in the way. We're sabotaging our own self from having great success. We're sabotaging our relationships. We're sabotaging the things that we say that we want. So what are we doing? What have we done, I should say, to get in our own ways around having a great life? And then the final question in terms of this reflective component is, what negative things did you tell yourself? Okay. I've said this over and over again, and you hear a lot of coaches and mentors and leaders say this, that oftentimes we speak to ourselves in ways that we wouldn't even allow our children to speak to themselves. We wouldn't allow a parent to speak to a child that way. But for some reason, we allow ourselves to speak to ourselves in a certain way. And then on top of that, we allow others to speak to us in a certain way. That's really unacceptable. If we overheard a conversation somewhere, we would say, who are they talking to? Well, sometimes you have to ask yourself, who am I talking to? Why can I allow my own self to say these negative things to myself? What negative things am I saying that are not in service and support of me being my best self? Those are the key questions, okay? So the first one is, where were you inconsistent in your efforts and actions towards your dreams? What fires did you put out, and what did you focus on to avoid focusing on yourself? How did you get in your own way around having a great life? And what negative things did you tell yourself or allow others to say to you? Okay? So that's the reflection part. Like I mentioned to everybody when I send this guide out, this is a very simple guide. You can definitely go much longer. I only put a couple lines there because I don't really like to dwell on negativity. And so while it's important to pull away the good stuff and the lessons and throw away the drama, I don't like to dwell in a space of negativity, which is why I don't spend too much time dwelling on, oh, woe is me, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. We just want to highlight it and then move on. So this is what we're going to move on. For this next part, I want you to go really, really basic, get extremely simple, okay? If you're poetic, great. If not, that's cool too. I'm not one of those poetry type people. I look really artistic and creative, and I am. People always ask me, Takeyah, you must write poetry. And I tell them, no, not so much. The only thing that I do is write policy and procedure manuals. I write guidelines. I write books. Those are the kind of things that resonate with me. So those are the things that I do. I love that kind of stuff. And so if you're not poetic, don't think that you have to do that. The next page, which is page 3 of the guide, is playing with fire. Okay, so the reason why I like this is fire is so powerful. It has the ability to build up. It has the ability to cultivate stuff, but also has the ability to distill it and tame things down and to get rid of things. So when you recall a challenging experience, big or small, it's easy to focus on the drama of the experience. but it prevents you from seeing the gems. So with this experience, I want you to focus on the gems. So part A of this section where we're playing with fire is we want you to write down 1 to 2 words to describe something, a habit, a practice, or behavior that you'll let go from 2015. So think about it. There is one thing, there's this thing that you've been doing, whether consciously or subconsciously, or maybe even somebody's been telling you that you've been doing it, that you figure, you know what, it might be a good idea to let this thing go. It just might be a good idea to just release this in 2015. Why? Because it probably is not serving you. It probably hasn't served you over time. And either this year it's been highlighted, or this year it's been highlighted for the 100th time, or you're ending out the year and recognizing that there's this thing that I've been doing, or this practice that I've been doing that I really, really want to let go of from 2015. Okay? So think about that. That's the item you want to write down on line A on this page of the guide. Okay? And then for those of you who just tuned in, definitely you can get the guide at bit.ly/cultivate, /celebrate cultivate. Okay? Hashtag celebrate cultivate. So, definitely check that out online. Get the guide for yourself if you don't have that. We're on page 3 of the guide where we're playing with fire, kind of like Beavis and Butthead from One You playing with fire, which is a good thing. Playing with fire is not always a bad thing, okay? So then we're on to the section B, which is write down 1 or 2 words to describe a major lesson that you learned from 2015. So this is really going to require a little bit of reflection here. Um, if you haven't reflected or taken some time to reflect, this is the time you want to do. Think about that experience that you had this year that wasn't that great, okay? Think about an experience this year that was like, a little bit touchy, was a little bit tricky, you didn't like it, didn't feel good. There's something in there that you want to pull out. It's called the gem, okay? You want to pull out the gem from that experience, and there's a lesson that came along with that gem. So that same habit that you're talking about, most likely there's a lesson that came along with that habit, okay, that you want to touch base on, and you want to, highlight as a major thing that's learned. You might have several things, and there's nothing wrong with having several. But for this exercise, as I mentioned, I want to keep it very, very simple, not have you spend too much time on it, because we're about, processing the information and moving forward. So now that you have A, your habit, practice, or behavior that you're letting go from 2015, and B, the major lesson that you learned in 2015, I want you to place that information in the palm of your hands, okay? So place it in the palm of your hands, and then, let me move my screen a little bit here. So when you place this in the palm of your hand, what I want you to also do is to now, of course, breathe. So that might seem like something really, really simple, but as you might know, I'm a yogi, so I love doing breathing exercises, and I oftentimes have to make a conscious decision to do them, for lengthy periods of time. But over the years with the practice, I've been able to really manage it. So what I want you to do is take 3 deep breaths. Okay, inhale deeply through your nose and exhale through your mouth or through your nose. Either is okay. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply, and then exhale. One more inhale deeply, and then exhale. So what you're going to do is, with each exhale, you're going to say out loud, I release blank. So let's use an example. If you're releasing sleeping late, okay? Inhale deeply, and exhale. I release sleeping late, okay? And with the inhale, what you're going to do is say silently that you welcome whatever it is that the lesson was, okay? So let's say if your habit is sleeping late, and then the lesson that you learned is that, that you have vibrant mornings, like you like having vibrant mornings, okay? So you release sleeping late and you welcome having vibrant mornings, okay? Inhale deeply and exhale. This is where you release. I release blank. Inhale deeply and welcome whatever you welcome, okay? So that's what you're going to do at this part. So this is where you gather your fuel up and you take this. So now that you've done that several times. I invite you to do it several times. The next thing I want you to do is burn it. This is where the fire comes in. I want you to burn that thing. Just burn it. So you're on this call right now, so you're probably not going to be able to burn it. But what I encourage you to do, even if you're not able to burn it in this very moment, maybe you have a candle in front of you, then what I want you to do is take it and tear it up. Take that document, tear it up. We're on page 4 right now. Tear it up, throw it out, do what you need to do. Take a moment, flush it down the toilet, whatever you need to do, get rid of it, right? And the reason I want you to get rid of it is because it's time to just release all that stuff. Release it, let it go. And now what I want you to do is celebrate and begin to celebrate all the successes we've had this year. This way you're able to just release all that stuff, all that muck, all that gook, and now we're going to acknowledge everything that's gone on great for you this year. So I want you to begin to think big here, think small, okay? So thinking big, thinking small, it could be the smallest thing. It could be like a mustard seed size of something that's happened that's been great, or it could be giant and life-changing, transformational. Whatever it is, it's all right. So the first thing that I want you to do is think about your body, think about your nourishment habits. So this component of celebrating actually is based on the core connection lifestyle principles, which are honor your body, embrace adventure, amplify prosperity, restore self-care, and take living personally. Okay? So the first prompt is I practice these healthy nourishment habits. So think about the ways that you basically honored your body this year. And I want you to write those things down on the first lines on page 6. Okay? How did you honor your body? What did you do to support and cultivate healthy nourishment habits? Okay? Next, how did you embrace adventure? What did you move beyond? How did you rezone your comfort? Okay, how did you do a comfort rezone, like I like to call it? Okay, what did you do to really shift some things in your world and move beyond any fears that you had? I'll give you an example of something that I did differently. I went to Jamaica for a good friend's party. You know, I love Jamaica. I love being there. It was good. And I can swim to save my life, but I'm not the greatest swimmer. So I often catch myself trying to do things that require a whole bunch of swimming. I have no problem getting in the water. I love the water. If you've seen my Instagram or Facebook, or you know me personally, you know that I love being near the water. I like getting in the water. However, I don't typically set myself up to do a lot of swimming. Well, this year, when I went to Jamaica, I jumped off a cliff. It wasn't a huge one, but it was a cliff nonetheless, and I was a little bit afraid to begin with. I really was. But I challenged myself and said, you know, Takeyah, are you going to do this? And the answer was yes. So I decided to jump off a cliff and test my swimming skills because it had been a long time since I actually went swimming in the ocean like that. And I did it, and I'm here to live. I'm here to tell you that I'm alive. So it was a great experience, and that's something that I did to really embrace adventure, to move beyond my fears. So think about something that you did that really, you know, like I said, you rezoned your comfort, you thought about something different, you moved beyond it. The next prompt is around amplifying prosperity. Okay. I'm sorry, no, restoring self-care. I think there's a typo in there. It should say restore self-care. I got to fix that. But you focused on yourself and made choices that honored what you need. And that's really the self-care component, because I think a lot of times, especially for my clients who are women, we tend to put out everybody else's fire, focus on other people. And really, the idea that we want to do, especially when it comes to self-care, is focus on ourselves, right? What do we need to do? What did you do to focus on yourself and honor yourself, and prepare, you know, the people in your world to do the same thing, because people really treat you how you instruct them to treat you. If you let people think that it's okay to not honor you, then best believe they will not honor you, even if they don't mean it. Okay? So this component here, we want you to focus on, how did you focus on yourself? What did you do to restore your own self-care? Okay? The next prompt is about amplifying prosperity. So this one is really near and dear to me. And over this next year, I'm going to be doing more and more workshops and presentations around financial well-being and prosperity as it relates to having a prosperous life around health as well as financial well-being. But, you know, the prompt is the steps that you took to manage or grow your wealth and grow your money in support of the lifestyle that you desire. So sometimes people might wonder, well, how does money have to do with health and wellness, eating well? Well, if you don't have the resources that you need to eat well it definitely affects it, right? If you're trying to travel, which I love to do, and you don't have the money to do that, it's a lifestyle challenge, right? So when your prosperity and your money specifically and your resources don't match the lifestyle that you want, it can affect you. And so this component is important because I really want to um, help you connect to that and help you acknowledge the things that you did to really support the lifestyle that you desire as it relates to financial resources. Okay. How did you amplify your prosperity this year? I want you to write those items down on a sheet. And then the final area, of course, is um, core values based. Core connection lifestyle is based on core based living. So, what I mean by that is that when I work with people, I help them find out, first of all, what their core values are, identify them, and then help them align actions that match those values. Okay? So, the action has to match the value. A lot of times we have these values that we have, and this is not to say that we need to be perfect, but we have values and we have these belief systems, but we don't necessarily have the actions that match them. Hey, I've been guilty of, doing things that maybe didn't quite match who I say I was. And those are the things that I have to acknowledge, right? I have to acknowledge them and move forward. But there are key experiences that really resonate with who you are. Key things that highlight who you are, your core, and your belief systems. And that's what I really want you to highlight here. What did you take? What did you do this year to really take a personal approach to living your life? What did you consciously decide to do? What experiences did you decide to have that allow you to, you know, um, embrace your values? Two of my key values are freedom and choice. Okay. And those this year, I definitely highlighted freedom. I was able to do some more traveling that I had in more recent years. And then I was also able to take the leap of actually going to work back at my alma mater, which is a place that I love. But if I didn't have that freedom and I didn't have the choice, I wouldn't have been able to do it. It was a great experience. I learned tons of lessons, and I have a lot to share from that experience, but not at this point. I'll share that at some other time. But that was something that really was a highlight and an example of my values in action, right? I was able to really, really cultivate those things over the years and know that freedom and choice are two important things, and what it looks like different things in my life. And I'm really, really happy to be able to share that and know that it really allows me to be who I am. Okay, so now you have a whole bunch of stuff written down, hopefully, things that help you honor your body, that highlight how you embraced adventure, highlight how you amplified your prosperity, how you restored your self care, and how you took living personally. So, those are the key things you have there. The next thing we want you to do is bask in your glow. Okay, this is the opportunity for you to really embrace that you've had a transformational year. This has been an amazing year. 2015 was amazeballs. Okay, I had some challenges, as I'm sure you did, but in the grand scheme of things, it was an amazing year. I did so much this year, and I'm sure you did too. And I definitely want you to share that information for me and share that information with me, excuse me. So post online, hashtag celebrate cultivate, and share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, share it with your friends and family. Take this information and post it on your fridge, post it in your office. This is an opportunity to share what's going on. Maybe even want to share what you did in the guide with your friend. Sometimes we kind of keep these things in and we feel like it's boasting and bragging, but this is your great opportunity to brag, 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 brag as much as possible about what's going on in your world. You know, this is a great opportunity. I want you to share this with me as well. Definitely, I'll put my actual email address in the chat box. So if you want to email it to me, that would be awesome. I'm at Core Connection. No, it's hello at coreconnectionlifestyle.com. Connection is singular, so be sure to include that. But I put my email address in there, so definitely send your reflections to me. I'd love to see it, and then maybe I'll even share some of it on my blog if you're interested, or on my social media if that's something you're interested in. Of course, everything you share with me is not going to be shared publicly unless you let me know that it can be. So I definitely invite you to do that. I invite you to comment on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Takeyah Young, and then post it online on social media, on Twitter at Core Connection or at Takeyah Young. On Facebook, as I mentioned, you can find me at the Core Connection Lifestyle. The actual URL is facebook.com/Takeyah Young. And of course on Instagram, my new favorite social media platform, at Takeyah Young. So those are the opportunities for you to share and to really bask in your glow. This is a great, great time for you to bask in all the great things that have happened for you this year and happened in your world. This year, we've gone through so much in society. People have had so many tragedies, but also there have been so many great things that have come out of 2015. And I really want you to acknowledge that and celebrate all that you've manifested, because it was all you, right? It was you plus your higher power, your creator, your God, whoever, you call holy, has been really in support of and in service of the things that you desire. And I really want you to take the time to acknowledge that, to bask in your glow around those things. Okay. And so the next step, and maybe even the final two steps, are to cultivate. Okay. So to cultivate is to apply or prepare oneself for improving or developing, right? So the preparation, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not into resolutions that much, and for a good number of reasons. One of them being that most times I never accomplish them, and B, I'm usually not prepared for it. So I think it's important to cultivate yourself, prepare yourself for improving or developing. It's one thing to set a resolution, nothing wrong with that if that's your personal preference. But if you're not ready for it, if you're kind of taking the same mindset and the same energy from the previous year or the previous day into the following one, it doesn't really help you if it hasn't served you, if you haven't been able to reach your goals. So think about gardening, okay? When you're gardening, you're cultivating the soil, you're preparing it for planting, you're preparing for the next phase. And that's what we're doing here when we talk about cultivate. We're preparing for the next phase. So we've celebrated some great things. Now it's time to begin cultivating. So as you know, or you may not know, I'm actually, as a coach, I'm personally and professionally invested in and interested in goals, goal settings, and goal getting. Yes, I said goal getting. Not only setting, but getting, actually achieving them. However, jumping right into the goal is not always the best thing for us to do. It doesn't really always allow time for reflection. And so that's why I really am big on doing this Celebrate Cultivate guide, because I think that oftentimes we jump right into setting the goal without really cultivating ourselves and preparing ourselves for action and shifting our mindset. And as you know, I believe that mindset is a huge, huge component to actually moving forward. But before we jump into that, let me see if there are any questions. Um, Hold on one moment, please. I'm going to see if I have any questions. If you have any questions, definitely post them in the chat box. I tried to open up the Q&A, but I didn't see that. So let's see if I have any questions here. Let's see. If there are any questions, feel free to post them in the chat box. Let me check online and make sure. As you know, when we have all these different ways to connect with people, you got to figure out. Okay, so we have some people who wanted to attend. Yeah, I know this was totally last minute, but I decided to go with it. Okay, I will definitely be hosting more workshops towards the beginning of the year online like this, so that we can have more conversation. And maybe what I'll even do is host another one like the same one, Celebrate Cultivate, at the beginning of the year to help people usher in their new year. Perhaps I'll do that. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. I will, do that and make myself available for that. Okay, I don't see any questions right here. Hopefully I haven't missed anything. But what I want to do is jump into the cultivation component. So reflective time gives you insight into yourself and how you show up. Most of the time, your goals and resolutions are not very different from year to year, the things you want to accomplish. So, for example, my goals and things that I want to accomplish aren't very different from year to year. Why? Because I'm building up. Every year I'm building up more and more. Okay. So it's not that the ultimate goal, of course, for me is lifestyle freedom. It's optimal health. It's around financial well-being and financial prosperity. And then, having more time to travel. Those things aren't really going to change. That's who I am at my core. They honor who I am at my core, and they don't change. Now, if you have smaller goals, those might change annually, but for the most part, your overall goals don't really change. But what's different every year has been my mindset, which has helped me get better and better around achieving it, but also have a different perspective on achieving it. Okay? So how you show up affects what goals you set and how you achieve them. So it's time to cultivate. It's time to prepare your mind for use, right? Just like soil, you want to prepare your mind for use. So the first question is, How will I stretch myself in 2016? How will I stretch myself in 2016? You want to listen to yourself, right? George Bernard Shaw says life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. So how are you going to create yourself in 2016? First point, how will you stretch yourself? What are you going to do to stretch yourself? Second question, how will I show up differently for myself in 2016? How you show up differently. Sometimes it just matters how you're showing up. Let's just take, for example, appearance, right? If you are going to, let's say, a gala event, like a really big banquet or something like that, and you show up in your sweats or your yoga gear, you're probably not going to feel so great about going to that gala because you're probably not going to feel like you fit in or you look like the way you want to look. But let's say you just change your attire. How you show up will make a huge difference. So how you show up for yourself in 2016 will make a huge difference, okay? So think about it. How are you going to show up differently? What's going to be different about you? What kind of things are you going to tell yourself? What kind of things are you going to allow to be around you? How are you going to show up differently? Okay, the next question, what mindset or core values will guide your actions over the next 12 months? Okay, what actions or mindset or even values will guide your actions? Core Connection Lifestyle really is definitely a business that I enjoy, and it has a lot of personal attachment to it. And one of the personal attachments that I have to it, of course, is the principles about Core Connection Lifestyle. So I always use the same ones, honestly. I don't change them from year to year because they've worked for me. The ones that I did change, I think at one point I had Activate Creativity as one of the principles, but I decided to shift that to Amplify Prosperity. Why? A couple of years ago, I was really able to get more tuned into what was going on with me personal finance wise. I was able to kind of see how the different choices I've made in the past and the choices I was making affected my life. And I decided that prosperity, specifically financial prosperity, was very important. So I shifted the value. I changed it from activating creativity to amplifying prosperity. So my principles are HEART, honor your body, embrace adventure, amplify prosperity, restore self-care, and take living personally. Those are my personal values that relates to how I move throughout the world. I do have, of course, other personal ones that are more near and dear to me, which are, choice, freedom, adventure, healthy living, general health, communication, integrity, work ethic. Those are really, really important to me, and they carry throughout everything that I do. Am I perfect? Not at all. Do I work on it? 100%. Do I take the imperfect action? 100%. Okay? Do I put in exceptional effort? 100%. I'm a huge believer in putting in exceptional effort because we cannot predict exceptional results, but you can put forth exceptional effort. So that's really, really important to me. That right there, exceptional effort, that's how I move throughout the world. I always try to put in exceptional effort with the things that I do. So I encourage you to maybe embrace that for yourself. So those are the things. How will you stretch yourself? How will you show up differently? What mindset or core values will guide your actions over the next 12 months? Okay? When you put that down, I want you to say out loud, I took the time to cultivate my mind for prosperous. We'll start again. I took the time to cultivate my mind for a prosperous and abundant year. I am ready for 2016. I am ready. I am ready. You are ready. You're ready for 2016. And I look forward to supporting you more. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for today. I do encourage you to get connected, get some support. I do have a program coming up in January, starting around mid-January, called Cultivate Your Glow. And I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about it because it is a 21-day experience that allows you to, have a more vibrant life, like show up on the other end of the 21 days with more vibrancy, more energy, more focus, and more trust in yourself, to be able to do what you desire to do. So that's a program. I'm actually going to share the link below. I'll see if I can share it in the video below, but you can go to coreconnectionlifestyle.com and find the information on the Celebrate Cultivate website. So bit.ly/Celebrate Cultivate. You can also find the information at coreconnectionlifestyle.com/Celebrate Cultivate. And what I'll do is I'm going to be pre-selling that. So for those of you who are interested in taking advantage of that program, I actually have it available for $19, right? It's really inexpensive. It's 21 days, $19. That's less than $1 a day, actually. And I just made that up, so I'm going to do it. $19 for a 21-day experience. I'm going to have it posted online. It's going to be available until the 31st of December, which is really tomorrow, I guess. So you know what? I'll make it available to the 1st. So up until the 1st, I will make this program available. 21 days experience. It does not start until mid-January. I'll have all that information posted on the website, but I do want to make that available to you. For those of you who are watching live, know that you can sign up for this program. I'll send you out the links. And, you know, I'm really excited about it, really excited to support you and helping you celebrate 2015, celebrate your 2015 intentions, and cultivate your celebrate your 2015 successes and cultivate your 2016 intentions. Okay, it's all about celebration, success, cultivation, intentions. Looking forward to seeing you. Post your gems, your takeaways, anything that showed up for you, your ahas online on Facebook at Takeyah Young, on Twitter at Takeyah Young, on Twitter at Core Connection, and at Instagram at Takeyah Young. Hashtag celebrate, cultivate. I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day. Once again, my name is Takeyah Young. You can find me online at takeyahyoung.com and at coreconnectionlifestyle.com. Peace.